welcome. Let me know where you're tuning in from, city and state, before we get into one of the most insane things I've probably ever spoken about here on the channel. When I first heard this, I was kind of blown away. Now, if you're tuning in from outside of the country and maybe your country has a similar policy, please let me know. Let me know what country, region, or province you're tuning in from. And if you are in this great nation, of course, once again, let us know. And let us know if you've heard about this. Throw a hand up, the wave, to let me know, after you let me know, city and state, where you're tuning in from, if you've heard about this. So, when I first heard this, I was blown away. And I didn't believe it. I thought it was once again some kind of propaganda thing, narrative. However, it wasn't. So I looked at this and I said, okay, let me get this straight. Right now, our current administration is proposing a $450,000 credit payment reparation to migrant families that were separated when they came into the country illegally during the last 4 years of the former president. And not only that, not only just $450,000, however, they will also give up to $1 million per family for those separated during the Trump administration. However, there are some things that are not being spoken about in the news, of course, that some people are questioning, but I don't understand how it's not a bigger issue. So, if you came to this country and you were separated from your family during the Trump administration, you are eligible for a $450,000 payment, and your entire family is can get up to $1 million. Okay. But what they're not speaking about is, what about the people who have been separated during the last 9 months? There have been plenty of stories of families that came here from outside this country. They tried to come into the country illegally, and under the current administration's watch, they were separated. What about them? Are they too going to get $450,000, up to $1 million per family? We don't know. We don't know. It's not spoken of. During the last presidency, there were cries from certain people about kids in cages. Well, to this day, and this is confirmed now through leaked photos and reports from people who are on scene, that there are still children in cages. There are teenage girls who are being forced to urinate and defecate in plastic bags. There are photos of children in plastic cages sleeping on top of each other. However, nothing's been said about these things. Why are we not talking about that? Is kids in cages no longer a great talking point, or is no longer the cool thing to be angry about? Because if kids in cages angered you while the previous president was in power, however, kids in cages defecating in plastic garbage bags and sleeping in just unthinkable conditions and being separated from their families, now all of a sudden is not a problem. It makes one wonder what your true agenda is. What are you truly after? Wrong under one person's watch is not wrong under another person's watch. Is that where we are as a country? So now let's go back to the $450,000 per person, or 1 million per family. Now, when a soldier who is fighting for our country is killed, the U.S. government gives the family, the widow or the family, a check for about $100,000. In some cases, a little bit more. So what we're saying is the widow and mother of the children of a soldier that is killed overseas fighting for our country is given roughly 25% of what someone who comes here illegally is caught and subsequently separated from the members they came here with. They're going to get 4 times as much. And their family in whole will get roughly 10 times as much. So the one question no one's asking is, who pays for this? Who is going to pay for this? Well, if you ask the people who are putting these policies in place, they're going to tell you it's going to cost zero. It costs you $0. It's just magically going to be paid for. We're not going to say who's going to pay for it. We're just going to say it's going to cost $0. When you ask these folks, well, who is going to pay for it? Where is this money coming from? They just say, don't worry about it. It costs $0. And it just fundamentally doesn't make sense. It's similar to, well, what's in the spending bill that is 3,000 pages long? We'll let you know after it passes. Well, that should be terrifying to every taxpayer in this country. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you love, who you hate. That should be terrifying. We'll let you know what's in the bill for $1 trillion once we pass the bill. That was literally what one politician said. We don't need to say her name. We all know who she is. So now, when people are asking, who's going to pay for this? Tens of thousands of migrant families that are separated, $450,000 a person, 1 million per family. Who's going to pay for it? Well, they simply can't tell you. They don't know. They say, don't worry, it's going to cost you $0. Well, then why aren't the families of our soldiers who lose their lives, let's say the 13 soldiers that lost their lives during the botched pullout from Afghanistan, what about the families of those 13 men? Are we going to say maybe give them more than $100,000 now? Or no? We have veterans who fought for this country that are trying to get into the VA hospital for treatment. In some cases, life-threatening conditions. And yet they say they don't have the funding. They don't have the funding to fund a hospital to take care of our veterans who fought for our country, but they have the funding to give $1 million to families that came to this country, broke the law, per the laws on the books, were maybe separated because of children and other members of the family for whatever reasons were maybe taken into custody. We're going to give them $1 million. So if that costs nothing, wouldn't it make sense to say, well, it has to cost nothing to give the families of our soldiers more than $100,000? Give them $400,000, give them $500,000. Costs nothing. The VA, get these VA hospitals to take care of our soldiers, get them up and running. It costs nothing. So it's a little troubling when we're talking about helping our veterans, helping American citizens, parents who are struggling to keep their homes, parents who are struggling to put food on their table. After this pandemic and everything else going on, there are families that are literally struggling to put food on the table to feed their children. And for all these other programs we have out there, 9/11 families, people who lost their loved ones during 9/11, barely got $100,000. In some cases, a little bit more. And we don't have the money to give them anymore. That's all we have. But now all of a sudden we have $1 million to give families separated. Only the families separated under the previous president. Those separated under the current president, well, we're not sure about that. Those people being separated, not a big deal. Those children in cages, not a big deal. When the other guy did it, it was absolutely horrific, and those people deserve $1 million. Think about how insane that is. Think about how, if you lost a loved one during 9/11, or you lost a loved one to the war overseas, and you received a check for $100,000, and obviously the money doesn't bring your lost one back, but now to see those who are coming here illegally being given $450,000 up to $1 million, your blood would be boiling. I don't care who you are, what side of the aisle you're on, your blood would be boiling. That is not okay. We're all about fairness and equality and justice. But when you start treating people who are not citizens, that are, for whatever reasons, breaking the law to come here, we understand why they want to come here, but there's a right way to do it. But when they come here and they choose to do it the wrong way, we're going to now reward them when our legal system is followed, and we're going to now reward them with $1 million? How does this make sense for anybody? I don't know a single person that can sit there and say, this makes total sense. American families, Gold Star families, 9/11 survivor families, they don't deserve anything more than $100,000. These families coming here illegally, $1 million. Sign the check, give it to them. It's absolutely mental. And the fact that anyone can look at that and not have a problem with it is even more terrifying than the law and the proposed check writing itself. Right now, the current president said people who are here illegally should not be deported for crimes like drunk driving. It wasn't a big deal. It's on video. He said it. You can look it up. We'll post a link below. However, what about the case? You can look this up in Polk County, where a 5-year-old girl who was in the back of the car with her mom was driving, 5-year-old girl was in the child seat in the back of the car, was rear-ended by a illegal immigrant who had roughly, I think, 16 beers, maybe more, driving, speeding, no headlights, rammed the back of her, crushed the back of her car. I'll have the team loop in the video right here.
When Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd discusses this horrific car crash that killed a 5-year-old girl, the anger in his voice is hard to miss.
Had he been in his home country last Saturday night, like he should have been, our 5-year-old beautiful little girl would have been alive.
But instead, Ernesto Lopez Morales was driving down State Road 60 in Mulberry.
He has already drinking 6 32-ounce beers by his own admission.
And the sheriff says Lopez Morales was out buying more beer. We're told his headlights were off, he was speeding, and he slammed into the back of a Hyundai Elantra driven by a Plant City mother. The impact crushed the back half of the Elantra, including the back seat, where the 5-year-old was in her car seat.
So this 5-year-old girl is killed by an illegal immigrant who had 16, 20 beers, driving with no headlights on, speeding. Mom is sent to the hospital. 5-year-old girl in the child seat is dead. He leaves the scene, is caught later. But it's drunk driving. It's no big deal. According to the president, that's not something you should get deported for. Well, to that mother of that 5-year-old girl, I'm pretty sure she feels like that is something serious and not something that should be taken lightly. Imagine you lost your child, your 5-year-old, to someone who came here illegally, decided to drink an obnoxious amount of alcohol, drive, and kill your child. How would you feel if you later found out that he was going to receive $450,000 and his family was going to receive $1 million? How would that make you feel as you mourn the loss of your 5-year-old daughter that was crushed to death in the back of your car? These are the stories that people don't want to talk about. These are the issues that kind of are uncomfortable. But this is the reality of what we're doing. So what's next? What's next? Who else are we going to write checks to? Which is going to cost you zero, remember. Where is the money going to come from? No one's talking about how once people in other countries find out about this, well, hey, why not just everyone just come here illegally and pray? Well, it won't happen now, right? It won't happen now, because if it happens to you now, you don't get the $1 million. You only get the $1 million if it happened to you while the last president was in power. If it happens to you now, it's just a policy. Actually, now they're telling you don't come. Remember, during the last presidency, they said saying don't come is un-American. But now all of a sudden, they're saying don't come. And now all of a sudden it's okay. It's okay to say don't come. Stay in your country. Now it's okay. Last year, if you said that, oh, you were racist, you were a xenophobe, you were everything under the sun. But now it's completely fine. It was completely fine 2 presidents ago, the guy before the last guy, when he said, don't come. And he said, we have to take care of our borders. It was okay. No one said a word. It was totally fine. And he had a hardline stance. He had a hardline stance. No one deported more people than Barack Obama. However, that all changed when the next guy came in. Doing so was racist. It was awful. It was un-American. Now, once again, the previous guy's out, this guy's in. A-okay. It's A-okay. Now, this is all out there for you to confirm. And I invite you to go confirm it for yourself. But when you have a country without borders, you have a country that is not looking to do any kind of capturing or prosecution of those coming to this country illegally. And in fact, it's now confirmed that they're simply just flying plane loads of people to various parts of the country in the middle of the night and dropping them off in various cities and various states. And no one's saying a word about it. Nobody's saying a word. It's very easy for people to say, well, it doesn't really affect me. I'm not going to really get involved. Not a big deal. Well, it becomes a big deal if one of these people that is just not chased, allowed to go, cut loose, given $1 million, dropped off into your city in the middle of the night, if they end up drinking 20 beers and they end up rear-ending you and killing your 5-year-old daughter or killing your 5-year-old granddaughter, all of a sudden, it will become a big deal for you. So there's 2 things you could do. You could say, well, this is a problem. Got to do something about this now. Or you can say, well, it's not my problem. Well, if you say it's not your problem now, you have no right to say this is a problem when it comes to your doorstep. And it affects you personally. And it's you who loses a loved one, maybe your own life. So, just something to think about. Other than that, everyone needs to get in line for their 5th shot immediately. And wear your triple mask. Triple, not double. No good anymore. Triple. Get it done.